You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
And as always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 393. In this episode, we're talking about the Washington Commanders after a surprising upset where most people picked the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Washington Commanders. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. Parts two and three, excuse me. I should have clarified this. I meant to say this in the previous episode. My apologies. Parts 2 and 3 of episode 391 have been broken into parts. You should already have seen those videos by now. You should already have seen the Ravens video by now. Later this evening, well, tomorrow evening, I will be recording the Baltimore Ravens, the Maryland Terrapins preview against Indiana, if I remember correctly. We're 5 weeks into college football. I cannot believe that. So stay tuned in for that. Where do I begin? This has been an interesting season. I'm still very staunch on this team should improve. I still have questions as the season progresses. I'm still not sold on this team in terms of continuity. I still have some questions about Jayden Daniels. I think he's going to be electric. I think this is. I'm actually going to say that for one final thought. But the Washington Commanders went on the road and took care of business against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. The final score was 38-33.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
I first really, for me, I have to give myself some credit for this, and myself at Sean Spencer on the show last week, and I was very confident in Washington beating Cincinnati, just from a learning. I'm learning to let the game speak for itself. Coming into the season, especially how we came against New York, I think Washington was due for a breakout game. Okay, when you kicked 7 field goals to win you a football game, offensively as a unit, you should be disappointed in how you produced. Then you're going up against a Cincinnati team that, for the most part, is lackluster. I think there's been just a lot of off-season drama. I mean, when I say drama, there's a lot of off-season problems. Trey Hendrickson requesting a trade. T. Higgins, then Jamar Chase and his contract. And then, Joe Mixon is no longer there. Joe Burrow coming off his injury. I know they've been dealing with injuries. They're not consistent. And just because, and I think because I think the media for me, and this just kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the defense of Lamar, like this is a results oriented business. Cincinnati has not been to the Super Bowl. What was that? 2 years ago. That's great. They still lost. And that's no shade. That's just being honest. Since then, what have they done? And I feel like people within the media just keep living off that, and that is quite frustrating. But I'm really proud of this team and what we did. It starts with I'm going to start with Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, in terms of positives, is my game MVP. He did all the right things. We were looking for him to have a breakout game. I think he was due for a breakout game. Especially against a Cincinnati team that hadn't allowed over 100 yards, receiver yards, the first two games. He only could put up a combined 39 yards against the Giants and the Bucks. He had 4 catches for 100 yards. 4 catches for 100 yards, yes. And that's the 16th time in his career he's done that. And the touchdown that was the dagger in the game. He definitely had those 2 catches on that final scoring drive. I just think getting him involved more, I definitely think was the key. I'm really proud of that. Tress Way, this is the second week in a row. He has had a vacation, and it's well deserved. I still think Tress Way should be in the Hall of Fame for Washington because he's definitely done a lot, and just to not see him on the field last couple of weeks punting the ball, it's actually been kind of weird, but in a good way, if you know what I mean. Especially that's the first time that's the first time in the Super Bowl era that a team, especially in these first 3 weeks, where you haven't been able to punt the ball. So that really says a lot about our offense and how we've grown. And I have to give Cliff Kingsbury his credit on that. Since then, we're 6th in total yards per game. We're missing that stat correctly. We're 5th in points and tied for 5th in third down conversions, which is, I think it was 45%. And I get it, and it's going to take some time. And the last time we managed to score 35 points, that was against the Cowboys. And that was 2020. Thanksgiving.
I mean, damn!
Now, in that game, we managed to score, and that game against Dallas, but against the G-men, we held we didn't do that, and we controlled the ball for 33 minutes. I remember correctly seeing that looking at those stats. So I'm very, very proud of us. Another positive I have to give, we still looked really good on the 4th down conversions. And I think those are good risks you take if you're Dan Quinn. I think that's play calling, especially we played all the games. We kept our offense on the field for 3 4th down attempts, and that was on the opening drive. Rather than taking that 32-yarder, they trusted Jayden, and he dropped back to pass. That was Luke McCaffrey for a 30-yard gain, if I remember correctly, and that gave Brian Robinson the touchdown 2 plays later. And then it was the same thing in the beginning of the 4th quarter. I think it was a 4th and 1, and then he used his legs and that 4-yard run, and then Siebert hit that 42. Yes, it was 42. We're up 11. And that third one, he found Zach Ertz in the middle of the field for a 9-yard reception. So, we're just one of 6 teams with 100% completion rate, a 100% conversion rate on 4th down. I have to give us some I have to give us some credit for that. I don't want to beat a dead horse with this, But for now, it's not a negative. It's more of a needs of improvement. We still got things going on the defensive side of the ball. I still think that Tampa game. I'm not going to say. I think our Tampa game was an outlier. I think we've proven that we can compete. The defense, defensively, we still need to make some adjustments. Especially, everybody coming into this game picked Cincy, and especially Jamar Chase and T. Are going to have a field day. I mean, they're both great receivers. Love to have them on my team any day. But they combined for 157 yards, and what did we do? We kept plays in front of them. The only times that painfully didn't work when we gave up 2 touchdowns to Jamar Chase, and while yes, that was okay. While that's disappointing, we have to be better, especially in man coverage, because what we're doing with right now, it's not effective, and I really think it's system, and I also think it's personnel, and I also think it's coaching.
So when are we gonna say something about it? You know what? I'm gonna walk away. I'll be right back because I'm scared I'm gonna say something that might get me in trouble. Because I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
My next thing is also same thing needs improvement is the pass rush. Yes, we did get some productivity. I think it was from Dante Fowler Jr. and Javonte Baptiste. But I mean, the offensive line is, I think, still when healthy, I think it's a respected offensive line. They have one of the best pass block win rates, but we did a good job at winning that. But we got to finish, and that's what I mentioned with Baltimore. You've got to finish, whether that was getting to the quarterback, tackles. We did get to Joe Burrow. That was twice, but I still think that this is a working in progress, and that's what I mean when I say needs of improvement. And then lastly, I mean, I'm gonna go back to positives. Jayden Daniels, I have to give him his respect. Now, for a quarterback, especially this rookie year, he definitely made some history. With a 91 completion rate percentage, 293 yards, that's exceptional. He was really proactive with protecting the ball. He did have 2 incompletions. He used his legs when he needed to. He was clutch when we needed him in moments. That first touchdown was to, I think it was Taylor Scott, was our offensive lineman. If I can't, I know it was offensive lineman for sure. And I like that, and especially that dagger to Terry McLaurin. Now, I really want to say this with no shade, none of that. But to compare Jayden Daniels after 3 NFL games to Lamar Jackson is extremely disingenuous. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. He's been to an AFC Championship. He's been to the playoffs. Yes, criticism has been in the big one. But to sit there after 3 games, and really the first game in 3 games, the third game, he's actually thrown a touchdown, and then we're comparing him to Lamar Jackson, we really need to pump the brakes. I still have my questions on Jayden as the season progresses, but also too, like, again, you were going up against a Cincy defense that was suspect. This is the same Cincinnati defense that talked a lot of trash. And I can't remember the corner, but his picture was put on First Take, and I thought it was funny. But I think he will get better. But I really, really think we need to pump the brakes in comparing a rookie in his 3rd game of his NFL career and saying he's going to be better than Lamar Jackson. I think that's extremely disingenuous. That's like me saying Caleb Williams is going to be better than Patrick Mahomes after this year. Don't stop. Come on. What one win, and we don't know how to act. But that's just me. But I definitely want to go back to positives. The defense, when it mattered, they made some stops. I have to give us some credit on that. Could have been better, yes, but we did. But neither team forced a punt. which was really, really weird. Um, Again, like the thing is, we forced them into three field goal attempts, and Evan McPherson missed one. So I think those stops were key, and especially when you scored 5 touchdowns and kicked the field goal in your sixth possession, that says a lot. But I think my concern as we progress into the season, depending on our offense to outperform to outscore other teams, and your defense is lacking, execution is lacking the pieces to win games, that is going to be a recipe for disaster. So I think we really need to take it game by game. These next 2 weeks will kind of see that. And I think I'm going to watch it against, especially when we talk about Arizona in the preview. Got to see that because I just that was something I was very bewildered to see. We talked about Austin Siebert. He his only field goal of the night, but Austin Eckler had a second half open kick return for 62 yards. That was pretty good, especially making big plays on special teams. Got to give him that. We have, and it's nice to see Austin Eckler, especially. I think after what happened in Los Angeles, I think that was coaching. I don't think he was really given the confidence. Now, he was carted off. He was taken off the field. He has been diagnosed with a concussion. He will not play this weekend. Get well soon, Austin, because his impact is definitely shown in the running game, passing, and on special teams. But I think we've got legit playmakers outside of Terry. Luke McCaffrey, I think, is going to be sensational in this league. Zach Ertz, I think, is a veteran that you can trust. Dimey Brown, he got a couple catches in there. Ben, even though Ben Chenault didn't get a catch, but he got open a couple times. So those are the kind of things. It's the playmakers that your quarterback needs to help win games. And the offensive line, I have to give the offensive line a B plus. Could have been better. There were some moments, but for the most part, the offensive line looked pretty spectacular. So I like what I'm seeing. I'm very optimistic. It's only 3 games, but Monday's win was great. There are still flaws that are shown, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But it's going to take some time for this team to grow. I'm really going to judge them based game by game. I think it's a little too soon to sit there and say, yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs. I still pick this team. I still pick Washington to make the playoffs. I'm confident in that. I don't trust Dallas to make the playoffs. If they do, it's on the skin of their teeth. It's going to be somebody in the conference itself that'll choke like the last 3 or 4 weeks. I actually expect Philadelphia, Washington, and Dallas to make the playoffs in that division. And then there's the Giants. But when you look at also, I got to talk about on the Cincinnati side, Joe Burrow. We know what to expect from him. He actually was 1 point away from winning in one fantasy league, but that was okay. We'll get him again, but it was great. He made all the plays he needed to. I still think that what cost them was their run defense. They have one of the worst defenses, rushing run defenses. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, they don't have much. Cam Taylor-Britt's pretty good. That's who it was that was doing most of the chirping because he called our offense college style. Well, that college style offense whipped your ass, just for the record. And Geno Stone from a Baltimore Raven, shout out to him. They missed a lot of tackles. They allowed plays to be extended. A lot of manageable defensive downs you could have prevented. You just couldn't get off the field. And I thought that was really the key. And losing DJ Reader, I think, is showing. I think they expected more from what they've got. Chris Jenkins Jr., shout out to him. I think he's going to be a stud in this league for years to come. He's been hurt and hasn't made an impact yet. They had a couple other guys that really aren't they're bench players. Lawrence Guy from a Baltimore Raven. He was signed this week and he didn't do much. Joseph Asai was pretty much the only one outside Trey Henderson who was doing there, who looked, No, he was probably one that struggled the most on stopping the run. Whereas he got bulldozed at the line of scrimmage when he, that was something. I don't know if it's for right now. Their defense is an example of bend but don't break. It definitely bended and it definitely broke. Especially that touchdown that Terry on that was on I can't remember the cornerback's name. And those last names Hill. That was pretty much it. So I mean, until they're at full strength, I don't think you can really truly judge their defense. But even on paper, I still don't think that's the best defense in my opinion. And again, also too, Joe Burrow had 300 yards passing, but it didn't do enough to win this game. I mean, could you? And there were some, and again, they stalled on some drives in the first half. So I don't know, but I mean, it was an interesting game for them. I do know, especially their offensive line does need help, especially on the right side. Adarius Mims, I think is going to be good. I project he'll be a Pro Bowler, but the offense can't always bail you out. Defense, same thing with Washington. The defense is going to have to make you plays. Chase Brown, I think, is definitely that, and Zach Moss both. They're definitely going to be surprises. I think you got two stellar running backs, especially replacing Joe Mixon's production. I think you got two stellar backs there. But for me, it's definitely going to be something. And I think Cincinnati will be okay. I just don't think they'll make the playoffs. I just think that Cincinnati, the last couple of years, their window's closed. And I think some of it, number two, in their small market. I think Cincinnati has been kind of infamous in a sense of not really taking care of its pieces. And, they've had great players over the years. Corey Dillon, Chad Johnson, Rudy Johnson, Carson Palmer, so many others. And it's like, and they haven't gotten better. Like when you're trying to compete for a championship, you just can't go, oh, we got the same team, go out there and figure it out. No, you kind of have to add on to it. I mean, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are not going to just get you to a Super Bowl. Like you can add another playmaker. You can find ways to retool your offense. But like as long as Joe Burrow, I mean, they're going to be respected, but I don't think they're going to be a legit threat to anybody, especially in the AFC. Because I picked them to miss the playoffs. I put Baltimore and Pittsburgh to win to make the playoffs. I don't trust Cleveland. I think Cleveland's got too many issues right now. And then there's Cincinnati, same thing. But I think they'll get it together. But if this is what it was going to, if this was look like Monday night, it's gonna be an interesting season for Cincy. But that's enough of me talking about that game. Congratulations to the Washington Commanders. We're looking pretty good. And we'll be right back after this commercial. And we're back, and we got the Arizona Cardinals this week. Couple things. It looks like right now, as of Austin Eckler's out, Clinton Farrell's out. Last time I saw the injury report, Trey McBride for the Cardinals is out with a concussion as well. The concussions this year have been something. Jamison Crowder, as of today, has been ruled out. Brandon St. Juste was questionable. Sam Cosmi's questionable. And that's pretty much it on the injury report that I saw. But for my keys to be in the Arizona Cardinals, is going to start with the run game with Eckler not there. How does your run game look? Brian Robinson, I expect him to go out there and be productive. I know our offense is going to be productive, but especially the defense. Our front four is going to be the key, especially getting to Kyler Murray, because we know how Kyler Murray is. He's effective with his arm and his legs. Containing Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be another thing. I'm curious to see how we'll look against him. Arizona, outside of that, I think they're going to be missing a couple other pieces. But again, I mean, in this loss to the Rams, they had over 277 yards in passing. I mean, only when it was against against the Lions, excuse me. The only really true suppressive win was against the Rams. Outside of that, hey, like, they're having a good year, but I still think the Cardinals are figuring it out. Kyler Murray, he's been sacked 6 times. James Conner has 2 touchdowns on the ground. Marvin Harrison's caught 3 touchdowns. I mean, their defense is it's mid-tier, but I mean, they've had 9 sacks so far and the 1 pass. So I'm curious to see how we'll look against that. But my keys: run the ball, make Kyler Murray pass the ball, contain Marvin Harrison. Outside of Marvin Harrison, who else steps up in that offense other than James Conner as well? Can we replicate the same offense we did against Cincy? Those are my 4 keys to success. If they do all that and the stars are aligned properly, the Washington Commanders will beat the Arizona Cardinals 27-18.
Guaranteed.
So I'm confident with that. With that being said, that is going to be – actually, there's one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
One final thought is okay. I know I've been kind of on the I haven't talked about this recently, but we all know that Bryce Young was benched by the Carolina Panthers, and I'm not pleased with that. I think the Panthers are a dysfunctional team. I think their ownership is a joke. I think that Bryce Young, unfortunately, was a lamb sent to slaughter. When you hear the things on national TV, the saying, "Is he a bust?" I think that's disingenuous when you look at the situation, because some of these teams, respectfully, are not truly built for success. When you look at the Panthers, what is the vision? It starts at the top. And the fact that when you watch them beat the Las Vegas Raiders, that beat the Baltimore Ravens the week before, and Andy Dalton throws 3 touchdowns, you kind of sit there and you kind of go like, wow. And then also, too, at first, when Bryce got there, he didn't have a vet. They didn't have a team to compete. If you're going to draft, you got to have some talent around your quarterback. That's why I have questions with Caleb, especially Chicago. I make the argument that I don't think Chicago is a good fit for him. Justin Fields should still be in Chicago. Caleb, if we're being honest, he probably should be on a team like Seattle. He probably would be a good fit in Jacksonville. But that's all the touch over for another video. But I say all that to say the same thing with Washington almost. Washington was kind of in the same boat. And you look at Jayden, there's promise. There's absolute promise with Jayden. It's all about putting it together is the question. And I'm optimistic, but I still have a lot of questions. And this season, we'll have those questions answered for sure. But that's enough of me talking. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please stay safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great weekend. Do something fun. Oh, By the way, left hand up, baby. Shout out to Sean Spencer. Happy birthday, buddy. Talk to you soon, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you for everything you do.